This is your gaming controller. It doesn't matter what you use, it's a bridge that connects us with the virtual worlds we explore. However, when was the last time you felt a disconnect between your controller and the game you play them with? I think we rarely think about how the UI affects our gaming experience. But recently, while playing a little game about a crying kingdom, there was one aspect of the UI integration that really bothered me: the new ability wheel. It was meant to improve an old system, but by adding new mechanics, the new system became, in no other term, clunky. And here's how we can fix that. In Breath of the Wild, Link had access to 8 abilities: Stasis, Magnesis, Cryonis, Camera, Amiibo, and 2 types of remote bombs. Later, the Master Cycle Zero was added through DLC. Utilizing these abilities was a breeze. Simply press up on the D-pad, choose the desired ability from the menu, and activate it with the left bumper. At the time, it felt remarkably efficient, and it left space for the integration of additional skills in the future. In Tears of the Kingdom, there are still 8 abilities in the menu, but they've been reworked to introduce more gameplay options. Magnesis was replaced by Ultra Hand, which now allows you to pick up and arrange anything. Auto Build was a necessity for the new building gameplay. Recall replaced Stasis, which is arguably less fun, but it makes sense in the context of the story. Fuse was an entirely new addition that overhauls the combat system, and returning to this game are the essential Amiibo and camera abilities. Oddly, there's also an option to open the map from this menu, which I'll address later. The UI design has undergone significant changes as well. Instead of a linear list of choices, the menu now resembles a certain Battle Royale emote wheel, granting access to any option with a simple tilt of the control stick. Overall, this UI change is much stronger gameplay-wise, since you no longer have to scroll through a list of options. But in terms of controls, the change to holding the left bumper to access the menu takes a bit to get used to. But pressing the left bumper to activate the ability still feels natural. Up on the D-pad was replaced by the material menu, which, with the new gameplay features, would have been a nightmare to live without. I know many of you may already know these similarities, but I believe it's important to point these out once I get to my own changes. First, we'll remove the utterly useless map ability, since it's literally a worthless slot at the moment. And unless the DLC replaces it with a new ability a la Master Cycle Zero, it's safe to say we should remove it. Next, I'll remove the camera. I will instead shift this ability inside the viewfinder tool when clicking the right stick in. Now when in the viewfinder, you can zoom in and out, press A to pin, and hit the left bumper to take a picture. This consolidates the entire camera feature and makes it more accessible. Personally, this was my instinctual practice, but since it's not built like this, my photo album is virtually empty, and I don't see it growing anytime soon. After that, I'm going to remove Auto Build. Not entirely remove the ability, but I'd also consolidate it inside the Ultra Hand ability. When you have the Ultra Hand selected and activated, you can press a button and the Auto Build menu will open how it does now. This might be a bit controversial, but since both abilities go hand in hand, it just makes more sense to me. Finally, the Amiibo ability is another candidate for removal. While I am personally torn on this matter, given my massive collection of Amiibo, it's likely that a majority of players don't even own Amiibo figures. Though Nintendo may view this area as advertising space for Amiibo, but good luck finding any Zelda ones in stock. If they do decide to retain this Amiibo feature, it would be integrated into the Ultra Hand ability as well. When activated and the Amiibo is set to scan, the Amiibo chest would spawn in the direction the player is looking. Now, if we were to remove these 4 options, would we simply just leave the 4 main abilities as they are? Certainly not. My solution is to replace these vacant slots with Sage abilities. The abilities in Tears of the Kingdom are all activated by going into the menu and selecting the sages you want to summon. Then the avatar will spawn and will follow you around fighting enemies. To use each ability, you must run up to the avatar you want and hit A. I found this to be a massive nuisance, especially when you had multiple avatars activated and wanted to use a specific ability. Running around in a panic and looking for a specific cyan silhouette did not feel intuitive. In Breath of the Wild, the abilities were activated using established inputs, and some felt rather passive, seamlessly integrated into the gameplay experience. Revali's Gale was triggered by an extended crouching, Daruk's Protection automatically engaged upon shielding, Mipha's Grace activated upon the depletion of health, and Urbosa's Fury surged to life when your charged attack reached its full power. Much like how the Zonai abilities bear a resemblance to the Sheikah Slate functions, the Sage abilities can be likened to the Champion abilities. Sidon's Bubble Shield, for instance, resembles Daruk's Protection, but doubles as an additional projectile. Riju's Lightning serves as a targeted counterpart to Urbosa's Fury, while Tulin's Tornado is a horizontal variation of Revali's Gale. As for Yonobu's cannon and Mineru's mech, their abilities are entirely fresh additions and are greatly appreciated, even if they're only useful in very specific situations. These new abilities all needed to be manually activated, and only Tulin's ability was somewhat passive while gliding in the air. Now that we've established these gripes, I'll put the Sage activations inside the ability wheel. But you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, there are 5 Sages and only 4 open slots. This is where it can get interesting. We'll add Sidon, Riju, Yonobu, and Mineru's abilities in the place of the 4 slots. Using the ability wheel and selecting the Sage will spawn the Sage avatar, and their abilities can be used by hitting the left bumper after selecting an ability from the wheel. The clear advantage of this adjustment is that it allows you to employ the Sage's abilities freely regardless of your location, while still keeping the avatar feature. Now, when it comes to Tulin, I found it a bit tricky, but I'm leaning towards having him serve as a constant avatar while you're soaring through the skies. His gust ability is already the least intrusive among the Sages, so I'd prefer to maintain it as much as possible. And considering half the game takes place in the sky, it's an interesting option to have a certain amount of defense in the sky. If we were adamant about preserving his current functionality, we could potentially make the wheel uneven. However, I think the developers intentionally opted for an even wheel layout since it's easy for muscle memory. Tears of the Kingdom is undeniably a remarkable game, brimming with innovation and creativity. My exploration of the changes to this ability wheel menu is, in reality, just a thought experiment I wanted to share. Obviously, I assume the Zelda team put hours into testing these features, but at the same time, these seem like obvious ways to streamline a new feature. With that being said, I'm wondering if you guys agree with these changes, or if you have any ideas of your own to improve these new abilities. Feel free to share your insights and suggestions in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Probably with Nathan breaking down the game even further, or maybe I'll continue to share my grievances about the UI, because there's a lot more where that came from.